Today we're taking a look at the Utah Jazz vs Los Angeles Clippers match, which is happening on Monday, June 14, 2021, and giving you my betting tips and predictions in general on this game. Welcome back to High Stakes. Let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. 5 plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 270 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours and hours of your time searching the internet for some fake betting predictions and losing your money because of it. Join High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks and advices instantly. The Clippers were in a must-win situation on Saturday night as they blew through the Jazz like a summer storm. Things reached Category 5 levels at the Staples Center in a game where Utah turned the ball over 16 times and only shot 42.9% from the floor. For the first time in this series, the Clippers actually looked like they wanted to win as bad as the Jazz. So it falls on the Jazz to rip the last remnants of hope from their beating chests on Monday night. Donovan Mitchell is a soul snatcher and a legitimate superstar capable of doing as such. However, it could take another one of those otherworldly performances that he put on display in the first 2 games to beat the Clippers in their home building. He's more than capable of rising to the occasion with a magnifying spotlight beaming down on him. The Jazz didn't skip a beat to kick off the second round either, as they quickly jumped out to a 2-game lead at home to start their current series, forcing the Clippers into an uncomfortable position that probably feels a little too reminiscent for their liking, considering LA also trailed by 2 games early in the first round. The Clippers emphatically bounced back with a 26-point victory at home in Game 3 though, as Kawhi Leonard and Paul George teamed up for 65 points on 54% from the floor during Saturday's blowout at the Staples Center, handing Utah its first loss of the postseason with Mitchell in the lineup. We've seen it all season long from guys like Bojan Bogdanovic and Jordan Clarkson, but we've crossed a threshold in the playoffs where the heat is on. They aren't dealing with the Memphis Grizzlies in this series. The Clippers can get buckets, and they are clearly one of the best defensive teams in the league when they focus on locking down. Oh yeah, and Kawhi Leonard has multiple championships, so that experience factor won't be easy to top. It doesn't help matters that Mitchell is still working through an injury, while Mike Conley remains out with a hamstring issue. The Clippers reminded the world that they can play defense, but most importantly, they knocked down 56.2% of their shots. Paul George also decided to take a break from the milk carton and show the world why he's the heart of the sleeping giant. Yes, I know Kawhi Leonard is the only superstar on the roster, but George walks in the shadows of that label. The Jazz won 2 of 3 regular season matchups against the Clippers on the year, with Utah's pair of victories both staying under due to an average of just 208 points being scored across them, and LA's lone victory pushing it a total of 228 points scored, 116 to 112. The Clippers were down 2-0 in their previous series with the Dallas Mavericks, with a red-hot Luka Doncic breathing down their necks. They went on to even things up before eventually knocking the Mavs out of the playoffs in 7 games. So the ability to overcome adversity is already there. If anything, their explosive Game 3 performance will only add to their confidence on Monday night. It's like pouring gasoline on a bonfire. They are the sleeping giant team of the Western Conference, with the multiple-time champion in Kawhi Leonard and a perennial all-star in Paul George. When those two get going in unison, they're the best team on the court. The first matchup between these teams took place on New Year's Day and resulted in a 6-point home victory for the Jazz, as Utah hung in there as long as they could during the back-and-forth battle, but Mitchell ended up shooting them out of contention with his dismal performance from the field, 15 points, 6-14 FG. The following two meetings occurred in a Monday to Wednesday doubleheader back in February though, and resulted in a 1-1 split, as Leonard and George both sat out Utah's blowout victory on the front half of the set, and LA responded with a narrow victory at full strength on the back half. But the Clippers are the best team in the conference if they play like it. The Jazz still sit among the elite defensively, and they can turn out the lights like a Mike Tyson hook if the three-point shots start falling. So the Clippers will have to fight like never before to even things up. While he might not be a superstar, he can clearly play like one sometimes. Saturday night was one of those nights as he unloaded on the unsuspecting Jazz with 31 points. I'm going to throw Reggie Jackson some love as well. He is stepping his game up for the Clippers when it really matters, and Ty Lue's decision to insert him into the lineup more frequently in the previous series has paid off. George isn't known for his consistency in the playoffs, but he can keep his level of play elevated enough to aid Leonard in another victory. The desperation hasn't been lifted by winning one game in their home building. They are still in danger of going down 3-1 with Game 5 slated to be back at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. My first betting advice for that game is to pick Los Angeles Clippers -5. The Utah Jazz hung around in Game 3, but big fourth quarter by the Clippers blew the game wide open as the Clippers won easily 132-106 and cut the Jazz lead in the series to 2-1. The Jazz were once again playing without All-Star guard Mike Conley, who has a hamstring injury. He is questionable for Game 4. The Utah Jazz are averaging 119 points on 47.7% shooting and allowing 115.9 points on 47.5% shooting. Donovan Mitchell is averaging 32.3 points and 5.1 assists, while Jordan Clarkson is averaging 18.6 points and 1.6 assists. Mike Conley is the third double-digit scorer and Bojan Bogdanovic is dishing 1.4 assists. The Utah Jazz are shooting 41.2% from beyond the arc and 82.1% from the free throw line. The Utah Jazz are allowing 36.8% shooting from deep and are grabbing 43.5 rebounds per game. As for Game 3, Utah only shot 43% from the floor and let the Clippers shoot 56%. Donovan Mitchell led the Jazz with 30 points on 5 three-pointers. Joe Ingles added 19 points with 5 threes, while Jordan Clarkson had 14 points with 4 three-pointers. Rudy Gobert added 12 points and 10 rebounds. The Clippers have had a tendency to dig holes for themselves, but thus far, they have been able to get out of them. They dug a 2-0 hole in this series, and climbed out of it a little bit with a 132-106 win on Saturday. But to make that win stock, they need to win Game 4 at home. The Los Angeles Clippers are averaging 113 points on 48.7% shooting and allowing 107.7 points on 45.6% shooting. Kawhi Leonard is averaging 30.3 points and 7.8 rebounds, while Paul George is averaging 24.3 points and 8.6 rebounds. Reggie Jackson is the third double-digit scorer and Marcus Morris Sr. is grabbing 4.3 rebounds. The Los Angeles Clippers are shooting 38.9% from beyond the arc and 84.6% from the free throw line. The Los Angeles Clippers are allowing 39.9% shooting from deep and are grabbing 41.4 rebounds per game. The Clippers had a great shooting night against a good Jazz defense, shooting 56% and draining 19 three-pointers. Kawhi Leonard came up big with 34 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 assists. Paul George also had a good game with 31 points and 5 assists. Both Reggie Jackson and Nick Batum added 17 points each, and the Clippers learned that Serge Ibaka is officially out for the season. The Jazz are 4-1 ATS in their last 5 road games and 6-1 ATS in their last 7 games overall. The Clippers are 1-4 ATS in their last 5 home games and 4-1 ATS in their last 5 Monday games. The over is 7-1 in Jazz last 8 overall. The under is 17-8-1 in Clippers last 26 overall. The Jazz are 9-4 ATS in the last 13 meetings in Los Angeles and 11-4 ATS in the last 15 meetings. My second betting advice for that game is to pick over 223.5. Good luck to all of you. That's it for this video. Stay tuned and stay safe for the next betting tips and advice.